Good evening. I'm Andrew Cuomo, and it's my pleasure to join you tonight to celebrate the National Urban League. This is a different type of celebration, but as we all know, we now live in a different world. Congratulations to your great honorees, David Cohen, a longtime friend who's always done extraordinary work all across this country. And also to Sterling Brown, congratulations to you, my friend. To Mark Morial, Mark has been a friend for many years, more years than I care to remember. First, Mark has had it tough because Mark had to follow in the footsteps of a great public service giant. Mark's father was former Mayor Dutch Morial, a legend. I'm sure Mark found it hard to be constantly compared to his father, both elected officials, both mayors. I can't imagine what that's like. Mark gets no sympathy from me. Mark and I worked together when I was HUD secretary. He was an extraordinary mayor, and I've worked with mayors all across this country. He was also a great leader as the chair of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mark is smooth as silk, but make no mistake, he is effective. When I was HUD secretary, I remember visiting New Orleans one day. Mark was the mayor, and he said he wanted to meet me at the airport to bring me to the event. In the car, on the way to the event, we wound up stopping at an old coffee plant that Mark wanted to redevelop, and he needed help with HUD funding. Then we wound up stopping at a public housing complex that Mark wanted to turn into a mixed income housing unit. And then we stopped at a job training facility that Mark wanted to expand, and he needed a HUD grant. Mark assured me that these stops were all on the way to the event. When we finally got to the event, I said to somebody, boy, that was a long ride. And they said, really? We're only 2 miles from the airport. Mark obviously designed his own route, and I respect him for it. The National Urban League couldn't have a better leader. And if there's anyone who can stand up to the challenges of this moment, it's Mark Morial. Yes, we are in a crisis. But there is an opportunity in every crisis. It is low tide in America today. And when the tide goes out, all the ugliness on the bottom of the seabed is exposed. Today we see the ugliness of systemic racism that has gone on for decades. We see the health disparities that caused more minorities to die of COVID, the income inequality that is worse than at any time in history. The fact that our essential workers were called on to make the greatest sacrifice at the most dangerous time, but they received the least benefit from society. The suffering of urban areas, while those who had the resources to flee did so. And the urban areas are now left on their own to fend for themselves. The killing of George Floyd, which was in many ways only the last straw after decades of an abusive criminal justice system, going back to Eric Garner and Philando Castile and Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and Breonna Taylor and many, many more. The Urban League recognizes the opportunity in this moment. We see the problems, and we know that acknowledging the problems is the first step towards solving them. The Urban League understands what it means to be truly progressive. You can't be a progressive without making progress. It's not enough to point to the problems. You have to achieve solutions. We're tired of fighting the good fight. We must win the fight. The Urban League knows that the goal is improving life for people, not just cursing the darkness, but actually lighting a candle. Now is the time. Society sees the glaring ugliness at low tide, and society is demanding change. The protests in the street are a good sign. The energy demanding change is electrifying the atmosphere. Now is the time to make real progress, and New York is the state to do it. New York is the progressive capital of the nation. We passed the strongest gun control laws, the first state to pass $15 minimum wage, the most aggressive MWBE program in the nation, the first free college tuition program in the nation, the most progressive bail reform law in the nation, and we closed more prisons than at any time in this state's history. I am so pleased that the National Urban League will have its new headquarters on 125th Street. You'll have all the history of Harlem and the promise of an empowerment zone. I stand ready as a full partner. Let's make real change. Let's set the bar high. Let's show the nation how much better we can be when every child is fully educated, when the talents of every individual are liberated, when the promise of equality is realized, and true justice rules the land. We must do it. We can do it. We will do it together. Congratulations.